If you're wondering how to keep your dog cool in summer when it's hot outside, how to help keep your dog comfortable and prevent heat stroke, then I've got 11 tips for you coming up. Hi, I'm Dr. Alex from ourpetshealth.com, helping you and your dog to live a healthier, happier life. So make sure that you're subscribed and let me know in the comments down below which tip your dog enjoys the most. Make sure you watch right to the end, as after I've run through my 11 tips to keep your dog cool in summer, I'll let you know an essential summer dog care tip you might never have thought of. So my first tip is to make sure that your dog has access to plenty of water. So at home and in the garden, this can just mean that you've got plenty of water bowls dotted around the place, making sure that they're regularly refreshed. Sometimes even adding ice to them can help keep that water cool, and that can encourage your dog to drink more water. Now, if you're outside, if you're on a walk somewhere, then actually making sure that you carry a water bottle, not just for yourself, but for your dog, is very important. And we can help our dog drink this water in a couple of different ways. So the first is that we can carry a folding bowl that you can just then pop out and pour the water in there to allow your dog to have a drink. Or you can also get a water bottle specifically for your dog that has got a fold out drinking bowl attached to that, so that you'll never forget that and leave that behind. I'll put some links in the description down below for those products. Okay, so tip number 2 is to use a fan. Now, obviously, when it's hot, we have a fan. It helps blow the air over us. It helps us lose heat better, and your dog is exactly the same. So this can just be, if you're at home, just a normal household fan directed over your dog's bed or the area that they like to sit. You can also get crate fans, so they attach onto the side of the crate, onto the bars, and that will blow the air through the crate and over your dog. So that really can be useful actually if you're traveling in the car, or even just at home if that's the place that they like to sit, or if you're away and that's where you leave your dog in their crate. So using a fan to help keep your dog cool can really help. Okay, so tip number 3 to keep your dog cool in hot weather is to actually use cooling ice packs or cooling towels, cooling mats. So we can do this in a number of different ways. You can get cooling towels and mats that you just add a little bit of water to, kind of shake them out. That starts evaporating, that water starts evaporating and it cools those down. It can actually be quite a big difference between the temperature of the towel and the outside temperature. You can also get other cooling aids, and one of these is kind of an ice pack or a cool pack that goes around their neck. So you pop that in the fridge, and then when you need to cool your dog down, you just take it out and put it around their neck, and it provides some nice cooling. You can also get jackets that you put on that are very much like cooling towels, but they won't slip off. So if your dog's out and about, then you just wet those jackets. The water then evaporates, that cools them down, and that can make a really big difference. Okay, so tip number 4 to keep your dog cool is to use cooling treats. So we like ice creams or ice blocks, and our dogs are no different. So what we can do is we can actually make up treats, pop them in advance. We can pop them in the freezer, and then when it's hot, we can take those out. And actually my next video is going through 2 really great treats, frozen treats that we can give to our dogs. So make sure you check those out. Okay, tip number 5 to keep your dog cool and prevent injury is to actually use some booties for their feet. So this is especially important if you live in the town, in the city, and you're walking on concrete or pavement a lot. So it's amazing how quickly that can heat up. And I've actually done a video on that, which I'll link in the card up here. But using booties on their feet can make a really big difference. It provides a layer of insulation, so it will stop them conducting heat from the ground into their body, and it will also stop their paws getting burnt. So that can really help to certainly not only keep your dog cool, but prevent them from getting some quite serious injuries sometimes. Step number 6 is to use a sprinkler or a paddling pool of some description in the garden. So that will allow your dog to get wet, and that will help cool them off, so that water will then evaporate. And we can think of that almost as like sweating for dogs. So dogs, they can't sweat, they can't lose heat in the same way that we can, they can only pant. But if they get wet, then that water that then evaporates actually takes a lot of heat with it and can keep your dog cool. So as long as there's no water restrictions, having the sprinkler running on low or having a paddling pool that you allow and encourage your dog to use can make a really big difference in keeping them cool and helping to prevent heat stroke. Tip number 7 is to have shaded areas. So if your dog is outside, if you keep them outside and they're not in the house, then just make sure that they've got somewhere shady and cooler for them to retreat to. There's nothing worse than seeing dogs in gardens where there's absolutely no shade, or you see them really tucked up against the thin slither of shade in the side of the fence, and that's really the only place they can get out of the beating sun. So just providing a nice shady spot can help keep your dog cool. So tip number 8 might not be quite so obvious, and that's weight loss. So a lot of our dogs unfortunately are overweight, and I've got a whole video series on obesity and the importance of losing weight and how to actually go about losing weight that I'll link in the card up here and in the description down below. But losing weight can make a huge difference. And then tip number 9 is to groom your dog. So especially if they've got a long coat, if they've got a thick coat, then actually clipping them out in the summer can make a big difference in their temperature. So just imagine a big, heavy, thick, long coat is a bit like wearing a big insulating jacket. To remove that jacket, you just need to clip all their hair. So getting your dog regularly groomed can make a big difference to keeping them cool in the summer. Tip number 10 is to only exercise or walk them in the cool of the day. So the best time is generally first thing in the morning before the sun's out at its full strength and before the temperatures started to really warm up. So targeting the cool of the day. So morning is best, late evening is another option. Limiting their exercise actually in the middle of the day is also important. So even if you think that your dog wants to run, if they want to chase a ball, just really not doing that for them, not taking them out, not playing with them too exuberantly will help to prevent heat stroke, because overexertion actually is a really big cause of heat stroke if that exertion takes place in the heat of the day. And then my final tip, tip number 11, is quite simple. Never leave your dog in a parked car. So there's very little that's better at killing a dog through heat stroke than leaving them in a parked car in warm weather. It doesn't even really need to be that hot outside. And if you've got any doubts about that, if you're not sure about how quickly a car can get warm, then I've got a whole video about that I'll link up here, and I'd really encourage you to watch that one and share that with your friends and family. It's very important because every year dogs do die in hot cars, and it's so avoidable and completely unnecessary. So as promised, I've got a bonus sun care tip for you, and that is to actually consider using sunscreen for your dog. It's something that we often don't think about, but our dogs' noses especially, or the tips of their ears, are really susceptible to sunburn and sun damage, and that definitely can lead to sun cancers, which can be very aggressive and very difficult to treat, especially if they're not addressed straight away. I would recommend a specific pet sun cream. So other sun creams can have harmful or irritating ingredients. So using a pet specific sun cream can just help prevent skin irritation while at the same time preventing burns. You can check out the links to any of the items I've mentioned in this video in the description down below. Let me know which tip helps your dog the best in the comments, and make sure that you check out my other hot weather dog care videos linked in the card over on the side here. So until next time, I'm Dr. Alex from Our Pets Health, because they're family.